The Lexus LFA is probably in your dream garage. 4.8 litre naturally aspirated V10, 9,000 RPM, 202 miles an hour. But this thing's 15 years old now, it's old news. Where's the new one? An LFA replacement has been one of those mythical cars like the Mazda RX-9. There's been countless articles about whether it's being developed, is this it, is that it, it's mistaken identities of other cars being tested. But now, Toyota has given us something tangible. Not just tangible actually, they frickin' sent it. They turned up a Goodwood with these two cars, the Toyota GT concept and a race car version of it. We've seen these cars camouflaged driving around the Nürburgring and every journalist was immediately ringing the LFA bell. But to everyone's surprise, Toyota turned up a Goodwood and plonked these two into the paddock and drove them up the hill every single day in single file. Toyota's clearly been very hard at work because apparently we're going to see these two cars uncamouflaged and released to the world within the next 12 months. So what are these puppies? What we know is both these cars are powered by a twin turbocharged V8. Boo, no V10, but big manufacturers can't really do that sort of thing anymore. Like the LFA, it's got very rear-biased proportions with a nice long bonnet and then the cabin kind of sitting over the rear wheels. It's also a low, flat, wide design, I imagine governed by having a wide track to maximise grip. The bodywork is apparently all carbon, like the LFA pioneered for the Toyota and Lexus brand back in the day. We can expect the powertrains to be hybridised, punching power outputs well past the 552 brake horsepower of the LFA. The second car with the big wing explains the road car, because this is the car that Toyota wants to take GT3 racing. Endurance racing is going nuts these days, with manufacturers pouring into the hypercar and GT3 classes. Now, Toyota already has an entry in the hypercar class, so this will be another Gazoo Racing entry into Le Mans. While researching this video and delving into the LFA's history, I kind of strayed to other V10 cars and came across this. How cool is this? Hot Wheels have come out with a Renault Espace F1. You can actually see the V10 engine in there. Good luck actually seeing it, but if you get the right angle, you can actually see the 10 cylinders between the seats. Check out that video, we filmed with that car last year. There's something I use every single day when researching and scripting a DRIVETRIBE video is the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN or virtual private network that guarantees you and your device's safety when online. Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in over 100 locations across the globe, meaning you can stay safe as well as streaming the best shows literally wherever you are in the world. On holiday, but your favourite show is geo-locked? Bam! Switch server to your one from back home and stream away. There's zero need to count devices, you can set up one account and have Surfshark working on unlimited devices. If you do have any issues, there's 24/7 customer service via a live chat or Surfshark social media, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can fully explore what a VPN can do for you without any holdbacks. For you DRIVETRIBE viewers, we have an exclusive offer where you will get 4 extra months free by heading to surfshark.com/DRIVETRIBE or through clicking the link in the description below or by using the QR code on screen now. Thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. The GT concept road car then exists to homologate the racing car for GT3. By making this a mass-produced consumer product, it can then take on the Mustangs, the 296s and 911s at Le Mans. Now I have a list here of all the teams currently in GT3. Aston Martin, BMW, Ferrari, Ford, Lamborghini, Lexus, McLaren, Mercedes-AMG and Porsche. They all have GT3 customer cars. That's a beefy list. The race car and road car look very similar. There are a couple of differences. The first one being that main front grille. Instead of having those two cooling ducts either side on the road car, on the race car it's just one big inlet. And then of course there's the massive swan neck rear wing at the back. Now, All the comms are saying that these are Toyotas, but considering Toyota's already in the hypercar class, I wonder whether these cars are going to take over that Lexus GT3 program. It keeps the projects separate and also means the brand awareness doesn't all kind of merge into one. That would then mean that these are Lexus's new supercars, which means by default that is the new Lexus LFA. What I find odd is despite these cars following each other up the Goodwood Hill in front of all the public and all the cameras, Toyota has barely posted anything about them. If you go on Toyota UK's Instagram, they've posted one picture that was shot at night of the cars on the Goodwood Hill. Why are they being so secretive about it, despite showing the cars going up the hill? It's all very odd. Once the Band-Aid's been ripped off though, and these are out in the world, I would like to do a twin test, based around that GT3 connection. This Toyota Lexus versus the Mustang GTD, both with that GT3 connection. Japan versus America, twin turbo versus supercharged, Lexus Toyota PR, Ford PR, let's make that happen. What I like is Toyota is a company that does this sort of thing properly when they homologate a racing car. When they first entered the hypercar class, firstly they were the first ones ready to go, they were ready on the button, and they did make a road-going version called the GR Supersport. That thing has probably been canned now, but they made it, it was running, it was working at Le Mans, they did it properly, and kept to those initial GT1 styled rules, where you should really be making a road car version. A shout out goes to Porsche for their recent 963 RSP car, technically road legal. That's a hell of a thing. There's just weeks to go now until DRIVETRIBE Live 2025, and if you want to see me, Richard, Izzy, and the rest of the DRIVETRIBE team, get yourselves to Bicester Heritage on the 30th of August. We've got a stunt show featuring original Top Gear live cars and stunt driver Paul Swift, all your favourite automotive YouTubers, all kinds of merch stands, and a steam engine. Get your tickets now via the link in the description. Until this car is released, I'd like to talk about the LFA as a thing and put a question to you guys. Do you think the LFA was peak car? I think you can kind of correlate the heyday of Top Gear with the heyday of the road car as well, when manufacturers could toss money at skunkwork projects like this and kind of go a bit nuts, like Carrera GT, LFA. Nothing in the supercar world revs anything like and sounds anything like the LFA did back in the day. Now, supercars are seemingly so much more restrained. Yes, power outputs are mad, but everything's twin turbocharged, hybridized. That means the noise comes down, the rev limit comes down, all to align with emissions. Well, back then, they could just go insane. So, what do you think? Do you think the LFA was peak car? Tell me in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I've been Mike, and don't forget to subscribe to more DRIVETRIBE. I'll see you in the next video.